Law Reform Commission says river tailings must be banned. UPNG heads detail school resumption requirements. And Milne Bay leaders unite for Alotau.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. Riverine tailings or dumping mining waste into rivers should be banned in PNG. This recommendation comes from the Constitutional Law Reform Commission, who has completed a review of the environmental and mining laws relating to the disposal of tailings. The review has been given to the Minister for Justice and Attorney General Ano Pala and is expected to be presented in the next Parliament sitting.
Dr. Kwa said the review was commissioned in 2007 but work commenced in 2013 due to a change of leadership in the CLRC and concerns raised by the mining industry and other government agencies.
When we did the review, we engaged with the different government stakeholders. We also brought in the civil society and the mining industry. So the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum was a very strong partner in this review.
The review covers current mine disposal techniques used by different mining projects in the country. It was commissioned following concerns raised over the impact of tailings disposal by Tolokuma mine into the Angabanga River.
We were able to visit 4 mines. We visited Opteri, we visited Ramonickel, we visited Pogera, and we visited Eden Valley. Unfortunately, we couldn't access the mine at Eden Valley, even though we arrived at the gates because of an misunderstanding between the Newcrest and us, and so we were not allowed in. But we did consult with the community, we did consult with the provincial government and the people there, and then we came back. Ramonickel, same, we couldn't get into the mine, although the provincial government and the communities were very willing and ready to assist the commission.
The review, which cost the government 700,000 kina, contains 18 recommendations.
And the recommendations are basically at 3 levels. One is about amendments, major legislative amendments to the Mining Act. The second one is in relation to amendments to the regulations, the mining regulation, the environment regulation, and thirdly, it's basically administrative, ensuring that the mining department, the now SIPA, Conservation and Environment Protection Authority, they improve their systems.
Dr. Kwa said representatives from civil society, the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, and government agencies responsible have been part of the review from the beginning. The recommendation to ban riverine tailings comes at a time when the Freedom Mine is proposing to use the Sipik River to dispose its tailings. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Treasurer Patrick Pruich has supported calls by the Treasury Department for an early 2016 supplementary budget. The department's 2016 mid-year economic and fiscal outlook gave early warning signals on the need for urgent government action on a sustainable budget. Treasury Secretary Diary Vele has recommended that the 2016 budget spending be reduced by 1 billion kina to 10 billion kina to bring it in line with revenue falls. Mr. Pruich agrees with Secretary Vele that an early supplementary budget would have an immediate positive impact on financing and cash flow related issues. Nearly 6 weeks after the first-year Unitec student Graham Romanong was killed in Lae, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill paid a visit to the relatives of the student. PM O'Neill visited the family village in central Mendi recently with other Southern Highlands MPs. The late Graham was slain in his room at the main campus during the student unrest in late June.
Since the death of late Graham Ramanong, family and relatives have been mourning the loss of their son. On Monday, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was accompanied by Mendi Muni MP Dei Kewanu and Works Minister Francis Awesa to Southern Islands capital, then to Umbini village. The visit was the first by the PM since Unitec students boycotted classes and clashed among themselves. Prior to addressing relatives of late Graham, the Prime Minister was presented a petition. Among grievances, relatives of the deceased called for the prosecution of those involved in the brutal killing.
Making sure that this prosecution, this suspects must come up the right way. They must come up the right way.
Passing his condolences, the Prime Minister said politics is the push effect behind the students' unrest, damage of properties and a death with many receiving injuries.
Cross will come, place in the staff booth, students in the staff booth, because look, man totok politics taso. Man totok politics taso.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister made it known that UPNG, Unitec and UOG will all resume classes to complete the 2016 academic year.
We will make sure we provide them funding, Loli must go to finishing studies. So next year, all Nubla beginning by go inside, only got space look inside.
Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
UPNG Acting Chancellor Dr. Nicholas Mann spoke to EMTV today on the 2016 academic year that will resume in September. This follows the government's announcement on the resumption of classes for UPNG, Unitec and the University of Goroka after the student unrest. Adelaide Sirox Kari with more.
How can they squeeze that?
UPNG Acting Chancellor Dr. Nicholas Mann says that the beginning of 2017 academic year that will consist of 4 semesters is to ensure the quality of education is provided and to also cater for the 2016 grade 12 student leavers.
If we were to squeeze all the 4 semesters into 12 months, then quality is going to be compromised. Okay. But we are squeezing the 4 semesters into 16 months. And there will be normal semester breaks, normal Christmas breaks. So that's all been taken into consideration. So
Dr. Mann said come September, students are expected to re-enroll and not reapply.
And the continuing students, they go home, and then when they come back, they re-enroll. They don't apply. The termination of the academic year, that was the termination of the academic activity. No student was terminated. Yeah. So all the continuing students from year 1 up to year 4 and year 5 for medicine and pharmacy, they are students of UPNG. They'll come back and they re-enroll.
He said that a reconciliation ceremony is set to take place before classes resume. While dates are not set when the semester will begin and end, Dr. Mann said the Senate has met to finalize academic dates.
Reconciliation process is churches will be involved and social workers and all that will be involved. All the main players would be involved. Well, the Senate met yesterday, and that Senate's task is to reprogram the semester calendar, the academic calendar, which for 2017 will begin in.
Graduations for both UPNG main campus and the medical faculty will go as planned. Dr. Mann also reassures all grade 12 students that 1,300 spots will still be available for them to apply.
And then it will end in around March 2017. They would comfortably settle in, and then the 2017 proper, the first years will come in April 2017, so that the grade 12s that want to come to UPNG, they're most welcome. They won't be competing with anybody else.
And on the issue of students returning back to the campus from outside provinces, the call from the Higher Education Minister for members to help with students' return, Dr. Mann had this to say.
They're voters and the parents are voters, so I expect all leaders to act responsible.
Adelaide Sirox Kari, National EMTV News.
A Pakistani refugee detained at the Australian Offshore Immigration Centre on Manus Island is believed to have drowned yesterday at a waterfall. Locals say the 33-year-old refugee named Kamil Hussain reportedly went missing at around 4 p.m. at the waterfall, and his body was found 2 hours later after a search conducted by police and locals.
These are the pictures of the deceased after he was found at the waterfall. The pictures were posted online by locals. The waterfall located at Rosson village near the main township has become a favorite recreational spot for the refugees who, since the Supreme Court ruling in April determining the detention center is illegal, have been given more freedom to move around on the island. The refugee resided at the detention center at the Lombrom Naval Base with his wife and daughter and was released for the day on a recreational day trip pass. Local police said the deceased was accompanied to the waterfall to swim by a group of fellow refugees who raised the alarm when he failed to return to the group after 2 hours. Lorangal Provincial Police Commander David Yapu said police and locals conducted a search and the body was found underwater 2 hours later, caught between two rocks. He said, considering geography, it is questionable whether the deceased knew how to swim. PPC Yapu says it is believed the deceased died in a tragic drowning. However, for lack of eyewitness of the actual drowning, police are treating it as a suspicious case and will conduct a thorough investigation. PPC Yapu says the refugees are foreigners and are unfamiliar with the locality. Allowing them to roam freely on the island is a cause for concern, as portrayed by the tragic incident. He appeals to the responsible authorities to confine the refugees for their own safety until an amicable agreement is reached. The body of the deceased is currently at the Lorangal Hospital morgue, pending a scheduled post-mortem tomorrow. The Australian Immigration Authority is aware of the incident and is working alongside police. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
The Milne Bay provincial government and administration have condemned the killing of a constable in the province and have vowed to capture suspects involved in an attempted armed robbery on Monday. Today, Governor Titus Philemon said all district members of parliament and the Provincial Executive Council have met to discuss funding efforts. Authorities on the ground maintain that Alotau is still a safe place for tourists. Bethany Harriman reports from Alotau.
This morning, the Milne Bay Governor Titus Philemon, Provincial Administrator Michael Kape, and the Provincial Police Commander Joe Morehari reassured tourist operators that the country and Milne Bay is still a safe place to visit. Within this week, Alotau, the capital of the province, was put in the spotlight after Police Constable Samuel Pisa was shot and killed on the weekend while responding to a hold-up, and on Monday, another attempted hold-up.
And this thing has actually, painted a wrong picture about the Milne Bay people, and I just want to assure the public and, especially the business houses, the tourists, that Milne Bay people live a normal life as friendly and peace-loving people.
Milne Bay Governor Titus Philemon assured stakeholders that leadership at all levels of government are dealing with both incidents. He describes the events of this week as a small glitch that does not make Alotau unsafe. The Provincial Police Commander Joe Morehari explained that investigations into the shooting of the constable and the hold-up on Monday have begun. He also disclosed that the incident on Monday was a hold-up. No one was shot and that about 370 kina was taken from the cash counter of PNG Air.
And in the end, we found that there was no one. So that's why when the other news people reported or asked me, I said, it appears to be hoax. But we will interview all the people in the buildings to establish how this information came.
Planning Minister and Alotau MP Charles Abel also responded to the shooting on the weekend and Monday's incident.
The damage was untold. We had a cruise ship that had just come in with some 1,500 passengers. They were already in town and they had to be hurriedly repatriated back to the boat.
Provincial administration has been tasked to support the Milne Bay province to apprehend suspects involved in the killing of the constable, as well as those who held up the PNG Air office.
We are all together. We are all united. The leaders are united. The police are united. That this unexpected event that has taken place is a one-off situation that happened, and is tarnishing the name of Milne Bay nationally, internationally, and we will not tolerate it.
Authorities say that Milne Bay is still a safe province and that the incidents that happened within this week are one-off events. The national government has posed Alotau as the upcoming tourism hub of Papua New Guinea. The provincial government says those two incidents are a reminder of what needs to be done to ensure public safety. The PPC says that those suspects involved in the two incidents are known to police and they will be caught soon to ensure public safety. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Alotau.
PNG Air Limited says the armed robbery at its Alotau sales office was not a hoax. Chief Commercial Officer Paul Abbott, speaking to MTV News exclusively, criticized the media for not being responsible in their reporting. He added that the company is providing support for staff affected by the incident. Fabian Haklitz with this report.
The armed robbery in the Alotau sales office was not a hoax, as reported by the media.
I think it's unfortunate that the media has moved to reporting based on information they're receiving from other sources. Obviously, this was a hoax. I can confirm it did happen. We're just grateful that, as I said before, that there was no harm done to our staff, and we can hopefully move on from here.
PNG Air has confirmed the armed robbery took place at its Alotau office on Monday this week. It happened minutes after revenue takings were deposited into the bank. Yesterday, PNG management flew into Alotau to assess the situation and provide support for the staff involved in the incident.
Just to set the record straight, at 9:30 on Monday morning, our sales office in Alotau was held up by two armed robbers. One had a bush knife, the other one had a homemade pistol. When the sales office was clear, they held these weapons to the heads of our sales staff and demanded that they hand over cash, which the sales staff did the correct thing and complied for their own safety, and handed over the cash tin. During some confusion, they then ran into a back office and barricaded themselves in. So they removed themselves from the immediate threat, which was correct and appropriate. They at that stage notified the security and the police and head office for PNG Air as well that in fact an armed robbery had just taken place, and after some time the ladies were eventually freed by the police through a side window. So I can confirm just in short notice that yes, an armed robbery did take place. 3 of our staff members were threatened with weapons, and a small amount of cash was taken from our sales office in Alotau.
PNG Air is now providing necessary support, including counselling to all affected staff, and normal business operations will continue.
At this stage, the staff members yesterday were providing their statements to the police, and we've provided some counselling support through the Salvation Army just to assist them get through this very traumatic time, as obviously it's not a very good time for them at all, and we're just grateful for the support we're able to get and to allow our staff to sort of resume their normal activities.
Meanwhile, PNG Air thanked the Milne Bay community for this support. Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Western Governor applies for bail while serving time at Bomana. 4-lane highway for Lae nears completion, and downstream processing of coconut in East New Britain. Those stories after the break. Welcome back. Western Governor Ati Wabiro, Provincial Administrator Dr. Modoa Gumoy, and a local businessman Norman May, who were convicted last Monday of misappropriating 7.6 million kina of public funds, submitted a bail application this afternoon. The trio submitted that they have the same type of medical issues and it needed them to get special treatments outside of Bomana prison. They also submitted that they are prepared to pay a court bail of 10,000 kina, including their guarantors.
Lawyer Greg Egan from the Queen's Counsel has presented 3 separate submissions in court. Each was for the trio. For Western Governor Ati Wabiro, he told the court that he is suffering from high blood pressure and serious heart problems. Egan said Wabiro is also an asthmatic patient and is currently receiving treatment, and being in prison creates an extra stressful situation. For the provincial administrator, Dr. Modowa Gumoi, Egan said he is a known patient to several private hospitals for heart attack, high blood pressure and cholesterol problems. And for the local businessman Carl May, he has a background of diabetes. He underwent heart surgery this year in Singapore for heart failure and is currently receiving treatment. The state objected to the grounds, saying that they can be transported from Bomana to the hospitals to receive their treatments. However, Egan said the trio needs to see specialist doctors and get proper treatments at the hospitals and wait for their sentencing. He asked the court to consider those grounds, saying that they do not have any prior conviction. Justice Penuel Mogish will rule on this application tomorrow afternoon. Basinata Yama, National EMTV News.
The ruling on the sufficiency of evidence for the condom-eating saga was adjourned to 15th of August. The adjournment was made because presiding magistrate Cosmas Bidar was not prepared to hand down a decision. Bidar was on business trip overseas and told the two accused he was not ready to hand down a ruling today.
The two accused, probationary constables Jacqueline Tanda and Joshua Yawinja, appeared before the Waigani Committal Court this morning with their lawyer. They were told a ruling cannot be handed down because the magistrate is yet to prepare one. This means rulings on other cases will also be adjourned. Police alleged that on 4 December 2015, the two accused forced a young woman to swallow at least 3 male condoms in an interview room at the Boroko police station. The two were arrested and charged for 3 counts of deprivation of personal liberty, abuse of office, and doing an indecent act to insult another person. Their case has been undergoing committal proceedings since January this year. When the case returns to court on August 15th, the courts will make a ruling on whether the case proceeds to a higher court or struck out at the committal court. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A victim of car theft has raised concerns on the release of 2 suspects allegedly involved in the theft of his vehicle. Jeffrey Howder told EMTV News his vehicle was stolen on the 2nd of June at Koki in Port Moresby, but police have allowed the suspects to go free after they were bailed out. The matter was reported to Hohola Police Station.
According to Auda, he was on his way to visit a relative when he was held up at gunpoint at Koki and his vehicle taken from him. 24 hours later, the vehicle was found at Hohola, but it was too late as the vehicle was already set on fire after its parts were removed. Auda went to the scene and was informed that 2 men were arrested as suspects in relation to the stealing of his vehicle.
Came in a getaway vehicle and took our vehicle. They were armed with knives and stones, knives, iron bars, and a gun. So they were a meter just away from us. We clearly identified them, and we reported to the 2 police stations, Port Moresby and Valley.
He personally went to the Hohola police station and identified the suspects. Upon following the case, the arresting officer told Hauda that the 2 suspects were remanded as detainees at the Bomana prison. But after 2 months of follow-up, the same arresting officer told Hauda the 2 suspects were released from custody after paying some money to police officers as bail. Hauda claims to date the suspects have not appeared in court for the charges laid against them.
28, just last week, Thursday, when I arrived at the station, this time he told me that, brother, the 2 suspects have been released by police in a particular police station in the city. And I told him, how come this is 2 months and you are telling me now that they've been released?
At this time, the Hohola police station commander is yet to confirm details on the alleged releasing of the 2 suspects. Howder's concern is the amount of time police took to prepare court files for the 2 suspects. He says while he had the time to inform the media on the incident, there are other victims who do not have the time to do so. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The first phase of the 700 million Kina 4-lane highway from Lae to Nadzab is nearing completion, with Works Secretary David Were expressing satisfaction at the workmanship and the time taken to complete it. The Works Secretary was in Lae today, along with the chairman of the Central Supply and Tenders Board, Philip Eludeme, to get an update. The Chinese contractor used modified materials designed for tropical conditions.
The 700 million Kina 4-lane highway has been the source of controversy since it was announced. Described as overpriced and unnecessary, critics said the money could have been used for other projects. As the first phase of the project nears completion, the Works Secretary David Were says he's quite satisfied with the quality of work and the time it took to complete it.
And the progress so far, they're moving as scheduled. The deadline for the 4-lane is around September, October. So looking at the progress, we are happy that they're on schedule and should complete by October.
All the materials for this road building are locally sourced. The gravel comes from the Bumbu River. The concrete is made within the China Railway compound at Yalu along the Lae-Nadzab highway, and the asphalt, also locally made, is, according to the Works Department and the company, treated and modified for tropical conditions.
We're constructing this road on a new standard as well. The sub-base and base course are stabilized, and on top of the stabilized sub-base and base course, we're putting a 50 mil asphalt layer on top. So that's completely a new standard we're adopting.
Going into the future, the Central Supply and Tenders Board is looking to award contracts according to improved minimum standards set by the Works Department.
The new standards come with their own costing, and the country is asking about the costing aspect, and we're here to see the delivery aspect.
There are other phases that will be completed in the next 12 months until the road reaches Nadzab Airport. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
In Papua New Guinea, East New Britain province has emerged as a leader in downstream processing of the humble coconut. Combining traditional communal ties with modern technology, several small to medium enterprises in East New Britain are now leading in exporting coconut products into other provinces as well as overseas.
The Coconuts Industry Corporation recently visited several small to medium enterprises in East New Britain province. Their purpose? To gauge the level of progress being made by SMEs in adding value to the coconut. Rabaul Virgin Coconut Oil, RVCO, located in the Rabaul district, supports the local economy by purchasing coconuts from surrounding community.
Going downstream processing and value addition and going into high value coconut products, because we believe that copra has come to a stage where we have to graduate from there and move on with high-value products so that our farmers in the coconut industry get the best out of their raw products.
To do one bag of standard copra dry, 400 nuts, you cut that and you put it into a bag and you sell it at CPL. The price today will be around 50-60 kina. Now we are telling them, you sell the nut to us, fresh nuts like that, 2 to 3 day old nuts. You sell it as a 30 toya, the same again, 400 nuts, a 30 toya, you get 120 kina.
Whilst RVCO supplies the local market, another coconut SME has made the transition to supplying niche markets overseas. Tropic Fronds supplies virgin coconut oil to markets including Australia and New Zealand.
We've done a lot of work working on establishing markets in Europe, and we expect to be shipping a container to Europe in the next a month or so.
The development of coconut SMEs, particularly in East New Britain province, has been welcomed by the KIK. Despite challenges in the local industry, the KIK is optimistic that more coconut SMEs can tap into export markets and ultimately raise the reputation of Papua New Guinean coconut products. Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3080, $0.4021 Australian dollars, $0.2715 euro, and 30.79 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed lower, while copra closed the day unchanged. Copper closed lower, while palm oil and crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 90.74 points lower, the ASX is trading at 69.54 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 65.75 points lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Amidst the turmoil facing the higher education sector, an institution is moving ahead to attain its university status. Jubilee Institute of Higher Education launched its 5-year corporate and strategic plans today as a step forward in meeting the requirements to attain university status. Present to witness and accept these documents were the new Minister of Higher Education, Francis Maros, and Dehurst Secretary, Dr. David Kavanamur.
After being recognized as a higher learning institute, Jubilee has been asked to meet certain conditions in order to attain university status.
And so what we did was that over the last 12 months, we've been able to pull together a lot of experts to join the institute. And we've also set up the infrastructure and the facilities. And today we wanted to launch the corporate and strategic plan for the Jubilee Institute of Higher Education, because that's the final document that the higher education wants from us to then consider ask for the declaration to be a university.
The institute has been able to attract veterans in the field of higher education to be part of their top management team in the likes of Professor Michael Mell, Professor Sam Curry and Professor James Yoko, who were formerly at the University of Goroka. Professor Thaddeus Kambane, director of the institute, said they are aiming to meet a niche market in important sectors in the country.
In the education, we run very specialized programs at elementary school. We look at the primary education, and so we have 3 structures. We have Bachelor of Primary Education focused on elementary schools, 1. Number 2, the lower primary, and then we have the upper primary. That's the focus because we want to build both the skills in mathematics as well as science. Those are 2 critical skills and areas that you find very difficult for our current students coming through our process.
He said while they continue to build their capacity, there are some challenges in completing some of their infrastructure.
State and church partnership program, which they've left it incomplete. So I was appealing to the minister to discuss with his colleague minister to get the funding through.
Professor Kambane said they have the capacity to accommodate 300 boarding students. They now enroll 124 students. Minister Maros, while making a personal commitment to seeing the growth of the institution, said he is excited that this homegrown institution is moving forward.
And I'm really happy that, provinces like this will follow what PAU and Divine Wood. It's not only about graduating students, but it's about graduating quality students that will have respect in the society that are in.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
The Central Provincial Assembly meeting resumed today with a good turnout of members at the Provincial Assembly Hall at Konodobu. There were 2 main agendas. The first was the Central Province Sports Authority Bill. The other was a vital statement presented on education.
In the absence of Governor Kila Hauda, Deputy Governor for Central Province Desmond Baira chaired the Provincial Assembly meeting this morning. The Central Province Sports Authority Bill 2016 was high on the agenda, with members supporting the bill during debate. All members present today spoke in support of the bill, saying it will ensure allocation of resources, including an adequate budget to support Central Province athletes and competitions. In the end, the Central Province Sports Authority Bill 2016 was unanimously passed. With the bill, sports administration and programs will be more coordinated and funding can be sourced from the provincial budget as well as from donors, development partners and corporate bodies. Education was another item on the agenda, with Abau MP Sir Pukatemu emphasizing that education must remain the #1 priority of the Central Province. Student-teacher ratios, skills training centers, minimum standards, a possible university, and international scholarships were all discussed by various members of the Assembly. A provincial education bill is expected to be drafted and presented to the Assembly before it rises for the year. Deli Waigeno, National, MTV News.
Trukai Sports is next. Hunters to face Burleigh Bears this weekend and Jared Hayne back in NRL. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. SB Hunters forward Timothy Lomai replaces Edward Goma in this weekend's 20-man extended bench. No major changes were made to the team taking on the Burleigh Bears this weekend at the National Football Stadium.
Coach Michael Marum will trim down the squad to a 17-member team by the end of the week. After last weekend's narrow win against the Ipswich Jets, halves Wartovo Pora and Ase Boas remain in doubt ahead of this weekend's match due to injury concerns. Blender Bavu was outstanding at fullback in last week's match, which sees him in the starting lineup. He may take over the goal-kicking duties if Boas is unable to make the team. Justin Olam and Thompson Tete hold their positions in the centers, with Butler Morris and Ardex Ware on the wings. Co-captain Adam Korave has been included in the team after last week's suspected PCL injury against the Jets. Noel Zemming still remains off the team with a few more weeks left to recover. The Burleigh Bears lead the ISC competition ladder. They lost 25-24 last weekend in a close encounter against Northern Pride. They will be coming in tough this weekend with PNG Kumul's prop Luke Page to lead the boys. They will be hoping to beat the Hunters for the first time on home soil, while the Hunters will fight to keep their home game record clear. Elijah Levet, National, MTV Sports.
Jared Hayne is set to make his return to the NRL with the Gold Coast Titans. It is understood that the deal the Titans will offer Hayne is estimated to be worth at least $1.2 million per season, which would make Hayne the highest paid player in NRL history.
Missing out on the Rio Olympic Games with the Fiji Sevens team after being excluded from Ben Ryan's final squad, Jared Hayne may be a case of a lost cause. Before his stint with the Fiji Sevens team, he had trouble with consistency in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers. But now Hayne will be making his return to the NRL in what is said to be the biggest deal in NRL history with the Gold Coast Titans. There were talks of Hayne moving to Super Rugby with the Waratahs, but these have been put to rest with this offer from the Titans. Titans have been in superb form in the last few weeks of competition and have been the surprise package this season where many thought they would be wooden spoon contenders. With the inclusion of Hayne, the Titans will without a doubt become strong premiership contenders next season and beyond. Dion Kombang, National, MTV Sports.
Still ahead in Trukai Sports, we have rugby union and news on the Olympic Games in Rio. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. This weekend marked the end to the round-robin matches of the 2016 Export Rugby Championship. Leaders of each of the three conferences have qualified for a semi-final showdown, with the Port Moresby Guys taking the wild card.
The Capital Rugby Union Bourmas have taken the lead in the Southern Conference, going undefeated in all round-robin matches, taking precedence over fellow rivals, the Port Moresby Guys. Their lead grants them the entrance into this weekend's semi-final showdown. With the Milne Bay Hammerheads and East New Britain Kayas table leaders in their respective conferences, this weekend will see the three biggest unions battle it out for the championship title. The East New Britain Kayas began their championship campaign with two big wins, 34-5 over the New Ireland Drongos and 41-24 over the West New Britain Rebels. With the inclusion of PNG rugby reps Rabi Namalu Jr., Eugene Tokavai, Arthur Clement and Hensley Peter, the Kayas not only have a wealth of experience, but the perfect balance in the backline complementing the heavies in the front row. The Bombers, however, also boast a wealth of experience, with Pukpuk captain Tessa Kautu named alongside Desmond Kopok, Stanis Suseve and big names in CRE rugby. While the draws for this weekend's showdown are yet to be finalised, all three Union Giants are expected to put on display their best rugby. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Still in rugby union, Team NCD have just announced a final 15-man sevens team to compete at the 7th BSP PNG Games in November. Team manager Bodhi Meapa said these 15 men will now undergo intensive training in the remaining 3 months.
The team is made up mostly of Capital Rugby Union players as well as Ashley Chan and Darren Ling from the Turagus. As part of the PNG Sevens development team Turagus, Chan and Ling are still eligible to take part in the PNG Games. This is because they are not in the national team. Team manager Bodhi Meapa said 3 more players have been included as substitute if any injury occur. CRU players in the team are a mixture of upcoming and senior players. The team is expected to have a one-off trial match with the Aroma Coast Sevens team in lead-up to the PNG Games. Along with the intensive training they will be undergoing, there will also be a strength and ball drills test, one in each of the 3 months before the Games. Meapa said he wants ample time spent on training for his team and there will be no changes made to this team. The team will be chaperoned by a 4-man team of officials. Dini Rose Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
President of the Baroko Swimming Club, Ryan Agnew, took part in the open water bridge-to-bridge swim in San Francisco. Ryan and the rest of the swimmers swam in a 10-kilometer distance starting from the Golden Gate Bridge and finishing off at the Bay Bridge. Godwin Eki reports.
President of the Baroko Swimming Club in Port Moresby, Ryan Agnew, took part in the open water 10-kilometer bridge-to-bridge swim from San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge to Bay Bridge. Ryan, who came across the competition online, decided to take part in the competition, who also won the bridge-to-bridge swim over the many swimmers that take part every year.
Yeah, so I was travelling to the States and I just decided to Google open water swims while I was there, and this one came up. So I entered it and then had to make a lot of training. So I was training 6 times a week in the lead up to it. I got back from America, where I swam open water swim in San Fran from the Golden Gate Bridge through to the Bay Bridge, which is about 10 kilometres. I ended up winning that race, which was pretty good.
All swimmers who registered and took part in the event were closely monitored on their past experiences in open water swimming. The swim is a competitive one as well as a good practice for swimmers or individuals for long endurance swims, for long distance swimming such as Manhattan Island and the English Channel. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, chances of evening showers for Port Moresby, showers for Daru and Kerema, and mostly fine weather for Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, some showers for Lae, Medang and Vanimo, and thundery showers for Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands, a shower or two for Lorengau and Buka, and mostly fine weather for Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, brief showers, then morning fog for all centres. Before we go, a quick look on our stories making headlines. Law Reform Commission says river tailings must be banned. UPNG heads detail school resumption requirements, and Milne Bay leaders unite for Alotau. That's it for this Wednesday, the 3rd of August 2016. From the entire news team, I'm Hope Imaka. It's bye for now.